The 2019 rainy season is full of tales of flooding with devastating impact on families and communities. The recent rainstorms and flooding in Adamawa State reportedly recorded loss of lives and property in the city of Yola. This resulted in blackouts in some areas of the city. The city of Abuja was not spared either, as heavy rainfalls and flooding left residents in some areas of the city stranded and homeless. Some were not so lucky, as a government official reportedly died when his car was swept away by floods. It was also reported that officials in Kaduna State called for residents living close to the Kaduna River and other flood-prone areas to temporarily relocate to safer areas. The story is not so different in the southeastern states. About 6,000 people have allegedly been displaced and 200 homes damaged in Oguta, Imo State. We can go on and on, but one thing is certain: climate change is real. The question of how to manage it and mitigate its impact on Nigeria is what needs addressing. Another issue that needs attention is whether flooding in Nigeria is man-made and what Nigerians can do differently to mitigate the impact of flooding. My guest will be introduced shortly. This is Nigeria Today, and I am Dennis Adibunloye. Welcome to the program. All right, seated with me in the studio to discuss flooding in Nigeria is Clement Nze. He is the Director General of the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. You're very welcome to Nigeria Today, sir.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be here.
All right. And also joining us is Kayode Fagbemi, Director Planning, Research and Forecasting at the Nigerian National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Okay. It's that time of the year again. Flooding is a topic that cannot be avoided. Clement Nze, let me come to you first. Nigeria, like other countries of the world, is experiencing, no doubt, the impact of climate change. Let's begin with a review of flooding experiences in Nigeria. What would you consider to be the most disaster-prone areas in the country?
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Our agency, the Nigeria Hydrological Service Agency, earlier in the year made predictions of what is going to happen. The prediction mentioned some states by names and local governments that will be affected. Mainly, flooding in Nigeria is about into three: the urban flooding, the river flooding, and then the coastal flooding. Or some may call it the ocean flooding. So, mainly, most of the major cities in Nigeria were implicated in our prediction that where flood will occur. And it has been progressing accordingly, unfortunately anyway. Then the states in Nigeria that are contiguous to rivers Niger and Benue are the ones that are likely, most of them, to be affected by river flooding. And then we know the coastal states in Nigeria. Lagos is already been inundated. Ondo, Rivers, Bayelsa. So these states are already having their own, telling their woes about the flooding that have been occurring in those areas. That's according to our prediction.
All right. Okay. Mr. Fagbemi, just tell us what really are the major causes of flooding we see perennially, year in, year out in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. The major causes of flooding in Nigeria: one, lack of proper dam and water management. God has blessed us so well in this country, giving us so many rivers. You had, maybe when you were in secondary school, that no Nile, no Egypt. But we have so many rivers in Nigeria, but we have not managed them properly. Many of the rivers and our dams have been silted, and then when there is increased runoff, into it, our rainfall, they are flooded. That is one. We have urban flooding, as is said. And urban flooding, what causes it? There is a high amount of rainfall within a short period. And because either the soil has gotten to its maximum level or absorption level of water, or that the rate of percolation cannot meet up with the amount of rainfall.
Yep.
And so there is excess runoff. But that is not the only problem. In many of our towns, there are no drainages built. You have roads, no drainages. But where there are drainages, these drainages are filled up with waste we have disposed from our homes. So improper waste disposals, blocking the drains. Then people also blocking these drains intentionally because they want to acquire more land, build into the, because of increase in population, build, take over. They say they want to, the sand fill and then, reclaim. That's what they want to reclaim some land. This have implication because those areas are naturally floodplain. So in the urban area, so these are the things that causes rainfall and flooding, and lastly, climate change.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Nze, clearly that's a combination of man-made and natural phenomena that are contributing to flooding. What would you say is predominance? Is it the man-made or the actual natural?
It's a combination of the two, or even more than that. Like you talked about, some of my staff coming to work today from Kuje. It's called that some houses were already submerged this morning, 19th of August.
Yeah.
Those houses were inside the natural water channel. Now, encroachment of human beings into the flood plains or the natural pathway of flood in terms of rainy season will aggravate flooding. So that is one. The issue of not heeding to warnings when given. For instance, earlier in the year, we came up to inform Nigerians about the flooding situation in the country for 2019. It is expected that people should have begun, the state governments should have begun, or even and individuals too, begin to remove rubbish that have blocked drainage systems, to begin to remove them. Then there's another issue which my friend mentioned here. Virtually all drainage channels in Nigeria, rivers, dams are seated up. That
what does that mean by this silting? Sorry.
Seated. For instance, see River Niger, if you are traveling across River Niger, at Lokoja, at Onisha, at Kotonkarifa and Ajokuta, during the dry season, before the major onset of rainy season, you will see so many islands, sand everywhere. Okay. So this is what you call siltation. That's one for major rivers, but there are other small streams around that are already filled up with sand that could have been naturally be evacuated during the dry season so that the carrying capacity of these channels will be increased.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kayode, the issue of erecting buildings, building structures on canals, waterways, swampy areas, that is a perennial issue in Nigeria. What are the reasons why some Nigerians are losing their homes in regards to this practice?
Yeah, the fact is that there's what you call population explosion in Nigeria. Yeah. The size area of Nigeria in 1960, when we had independence, it has not increased. Maybe it has even reduced because coastal erosion has taken some land away. Some part of Nigeria was taken to Bakassi and all that. But our population has doubled. And so everybody wants to build. And in the process of building, instead of us to build high-rising, we want to build bungalow. And then people, encroach into areas that naturally should not have been, building. But why? We have urban land, and we have planning units in all the state, everywhere. They should have design flood, have flood vulnerability map to say this area, that area, you should not build. You remember there was a minister sometimes ago that has to demolish so many houses in FCT. And those people have felt that, oh, this is a free land, let me build there. But they do know that as more people are building, because when we are building, we are doing two things. Let me tell you what we are doing. Abuja was not having all this building before. When you clear a land, having a forest or having trees and vegetation, when you clear them to build a house, the space that your house has covered, water can no longer percolate in those areas. So you have deprived rainwater from percolating. Then, which means there will be increased runoff in that area. Okay? And then your compound that should have been left for garden. People don't want to have garden in the compound because to cut it and all that, you just want to cement it. You want a neat compound. So your compound also is cemented. You have interlocking and all that. You have not allowed water to percolate in those areas. What is the implication? The whole water coming to that estate will move.
Has to look for another
channel. They move somewhere. Because all the compound in the estate have been cemented, your houses have blocked the water from percolating, and then we have high rainfall. So they will find a way to go out. When they go out, they are likely to go to the road, because that is the only area, and then they overflood. And many people are losing their houses because of improper planning. I want to tell another problem we have is some of the infrastructure that have been built were not calculated. There's what we call reducing risk. If you are building a culvert of maybe 5 feet, but you should have calculated that in 10 years' time there may be increased rainfall. You increase it to 10 feet. You may not need it this year. Increase it to 10 feet because there will be more rainfall. All the areas that are flooding now in Abuja here, they were not flooded 5 years ago. But because we have more estate, and so the culverts that were built, the bridges that were built, were not built to calculate that there will be increased runoff in future. So these are some of the problems we're having, and people are losing their houses.
All right, we'll continue our discussions shortly. We'll take a break now. You're watching Nigeria Today, and we will be back in a moment.
This is NTA News 24 broadcasting from Abuja. You can watch us anywhere, anytime on the following platforms:
Star Times Channel 101, Free TV Channel 79, Yes TV Channel 419, and Gold TV Channel 46.
For more information, log on to our website www.nta.ng or join us on our social media handles: Twitter at NTA News 24, Facebook at NTA News 24.
For comments, suggestions and inquiries, send an email to news24@nta.gov.ng or call us on the following numbers. NTA News 24, news and more news.
All right, welcome back. In the studio with us is still Clement Nze, the DG of the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, and Kayode Fagbemi, Director Planning, Research and Forecasting at the National Emergency Management Agency. Mr. Clement, let me come back to you again. Before the break, we touched on infrastructural irregularities, building on flood-prone areas, not allowing water to find its natural channels of flow. What is being done to address this particular challenge? This practice of erecting building structures, canals on waterways and swampy areas. Let's say your agency, what is being done to address this practice?
I said it severally. Our agency, the Nigerian Hydrological Service Agency, we are a kind of advocacy. That way we operate at the advocacy level.
Yeah.
We do the prediction scientifically before the onset of flooding in Nigeria. We tell you what you are going to expect most likely will happen. And most of the time, 70% or more prediction is achieved in terms of accuracy. So when we do the prediction, we go further to cascade it to the various locations, zones in the country, to tell them this is what we said is going to happen in your own area.
Yeah.
These states, these local government areas are under threat when the flooding season commences. This and this and these are the things you should do. That's where our assignment stops. And we keep following up, monitoring, because we monitor the entire river system in Nigeria and the two transboundary rivers, Niger and Benue. We know the propagation of flood within all those other countries. So we keep informing Nigerians at all levels. This is what is likely to happen. These are the things you should do. So in terms of removal of structures, that is the assignment or the work of like in Abuja, the FCTA, in the states, the urban planning, the regional planning, as they call it in the various states. It is their own work now to take up what we have said, begin to do the physical work, either to remove sand in the channels. That's how it's supposed to be.
All right, Mr. Fagbemi, in terms of NEMA, what is your agency doing in terms of addressing this challenge of building where building should not be?
Thank you very much. As you know that we coordinate, with the MDAs, federal, the ministries, departments, and agencies, and from time to time we do have meetings with them. We also get information from NISA and the NIMET, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, and then we write to the state governors that this is the information we have.
Okay.
You know that it's a very critical sector, building sector. You know, a person has saved all his savings to build, and then after building, somebody's go there to want to bring it down. I was speaking with somebody from a state the other day. He said they were going to demolish houses that are, being marked that they can block drainage. He said, no. The governor said, no, don't go, don't do that now. Election is coming, and if we do that, we'll make election. So you can see it's political. But why do you allow people to build before you stop them?
Yeah.
So this is what we should need to do. We need to prevent people from building in this area, not after building. You now want to go to demolish those houses. So we'll continue to work with those ministries, departments, and agencies to ensure that, enforcement of code, the building codes, they are enforced. We have those laws, but are we enforcing them? You see you go around Abuja, you will see some houses stop work. Yeah. After some time, you see the place painted. The work continues, and then it's painted, and then later there's trouble. So enforcement of building codes at the local level, at the local government level, the state level, and whatever FCD, I think that's what we encourage.
All right, okay, Mr. Nze, in terms of lifestyle choices on the part of the ordinary Nigerian, what can be done differently in terms of playing their role in mitigating the, adverse and oftentimes disastrous effects of flooding?
You see, the action of individuals in society becomes cumulative and then poses danger for the entire community. We have been advocating that individuals should take the step to ensure that they clean up their drainages within their buildings, within their compound, their premises. That people should stop the habit of sweeping their homes and then pouring the rubbish into the runoff, especially passing through the front of their houses. Many people do it. And when that moves, it is eventually going to block somewhere that will make, become a challenge in the near future. So what we take at individual levels, we should educate ourselves, educate the children, even those who are cleaning our roads in various cities. You need to see them at times when they sweep it, they will pack it and throw it into the channel, into the gutters. Such should be stopped. And then construction workers, companies, you see them, you excavate some materials, instead of cutting them away immediately, you leave them on the roads. For them are even used to form a bridge in the gutter. You carry chippings or laterite, you feed the gutter to be able to form a road to pass and go into your premises to work, to your construction site. Such things go a long way to block the drainages. Most of the time, even when they complete their work, they leave all those things and they form barrier that will help to inundate the surroundings.
Okay, Lagos State has reintroduced environmental sanitation. Do you think there should be an actual national policy across board?
In fact, that's the way it should go. Growing up, some of us, we noticed some elderly men cleaning the environment every now and then. They were paid. So what the Lagos State government has started doing is the welcome development. Let us reintroduce this issue of environmental sanitation, since people on their own cannot adopt that habit of taking time to clean up their environments. I think the state government should be able to, government at different levels, should be able to enforce it, declare a particular period, especially this rainy season between July, August, September, or even from June, like this year. As early as June, flooding has already started happening in Nigeria. Should declare this period as a time of, actively participating in clearing our drainages.
All right, Mr. Fagbemi, do you think that there's enough policy frameworks in the country to address this annual challenge that Nigeria faces?
Yeah. We don't lack a policy framework. It's the implementation that we lack. I know that there are policies, on flood. We have a whole department of flood control, erosion and flood control in the Ministry of Environment. And there are a lot of policies. We have ministries and departments at the state level that are to enforce building codes. But are we enforcing them? So I think we don't lack policies. What the DG just have mentioned, we need, it is an attitudinal change. We need to change our attitude, the way we leave things to chance. You cannot go to the market, buy corn, come and you after eating your corn or the cobs, and then you pour it in the drainage. I mean, we need to pay for the waste we generate. Let them be cleared and taken away, but people don't want to pay. They just call somebody, they'll say, I don't know what they call them, and they give them, they will just pour on the pour in the waterways or somewhere. So one, we need that. Two, public education, we need to increase it. And maybe we should start with our children, because some of us don't want to change. Somebody said, no matter how long a log of wood stays in the water, it will not turn to crocodile. So let's teach our children so that they can catch them young. Then we need flood insurance.
Okay.
Flood is a natural phenomenon. Insure your house so that when you pay insuring your house, you will know how to take care. When you insure your car,
you'll be motivated. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, our time is just about spent. I'd like to appreciate Kayode Fagbemi, Director of Planning, Research and Forecasting at the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Thank you very much for your insight on this topic.
Thank you very much.
And also thanks goes to Clement Nze, the Director General of the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency. Thank you very much also for your thoughts.
It's my pleasure being here.
All right, and thank you also to our viewer, and remember, you can watch this edition or any other edition on our YouTube channel on your screen, and we will be back same time tomorrow for another edition. My name is Dennis Adinglo. Enjoy the rest of your day.